Dude, pointed stick.
Pointed stick! Pointed stick!
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick?
Pointed stick!
Whoa, pointed stick.
That pointed stick.
Pointed stick!
Stick. We don't have any time for your trolling behavior on this channel. It just isn't welcome here. And so, good riddance to you.
All right, so today I just felt like ranting. I felt like coming on here and just saying something. I know a lot of you aren't in the Discord, and that's fine. I really don't care too much about that. But the reason I wanted to come on here and talk is I wrote something on there because I was in a mind frame last night that brought this into my head. Made me think about this, and I've thought about this before. But yeah, it's just what it resurfaced last night. Let's put it that way. So I'll read what I wrote. So anybody that didn't see it, you can hear it. So it goes like this, and obviously I'm going to be reading this. So let me post something. What we're seeing in America right now is substantial, to say the least. Yes, I'm going to bring up Charlie Kirk and tie it back into Vegas. No, he wasn't a racist, and I have the receipts. No, he was not opposed to homosexuality, and I have the receipts. Anyone saying that has been brainwashed by the modern media, social media, or just straight lying to you. Now, this one man was assassinated for these lies and manipulations that has been prevalent in American society for upwards of 10 years, and possibly a lot more. What's more important to this is the spiritual and political revolution that this has caused and is causing. People in Japan and England are holding massive vigils in Kirk's name, as well as what's happening here in the U.S. Many of those brainwashed by left-wing extremism are waking up spiritually, and politically. And it's all over one man's demise to a sick terrorist who was brainwashed by these lies. So what does all this got to do with Vegas? Now, I ask people occasionally within this Vegas sphere, for lack of a better term, would you rather know the truth and be able to tell no, or continue to live with free thought and be able to share your thoughts and ideas? One man is dead, and it's reversing years of propaganda and rhetorical pollution, because we know he was killed over lies and deception because of the transparency to that. What do you think? What do you think it'd be like if it was the worst mass shooting in modern history and it was 60 lives? Now, granted, there's a huge difference between public figures such as Kirk and 60 strangers you don't know. But the question remains, what if the truth of what happened to those 60 people that night could cause something in society to rival what we are seeing now? What if the motives around this event could cause something survival murder by a bunch of brainwashed idiots. What you want to know? And the real question is, would the powers that be want you to know? Now, that's just what I wrote. And I did send this to somebody right after I did write it. And they didn't understand. They didn't understand it. And I understand why. You know, the very way that I went around and getting to that point, you know, and this is something that is in my head and has always been in my head from the beginning of this, well, say sometime towards the beginning of this event. I watched a guy last night saying there's dark things in this world. There's evil in this world. Just because you don't know about it doesn't make it not true. Doesn't mean it's not there. But we did see that evil on display with what is happening with the Charlie Kirk situation and with Vegas as well. But here's the point. What if there's a truth behind Vegas that is so appalling, so rotten, so destructive, that it would cause some form of backlash? Maybe not on the level of this, right? Because, I mean, obviously, Charlie Kirk is a public figure, and we saw it in graphic detail. The Vegas was graphic, well, obviously, but not so much as, you know, as what happened to Charlie Kirk. We did not see the level of violence in the detail that we saw with Charlie Kirk when we saw Vegas. But what if there's some motive behind this? What if there's a motive that could not be told to the American people? Now, this can be strange because I'm not normally like this, but let's imagine a scenario where the government knew about something and they couldn't tell you about that something because that something would cause mass panic. Let's talk about nuclear weapons, aliens, UFOs, something that would destroy well, I guess people's brains, for lack of a better term. Aliens and the inclusion of aliens into our psyche would cause a lot of problems within society, right? Everybody believes they exist, everybody wants to believe they exist, but there's always that plausible deniability to the subject. So our society can keep progressing as if they don't exist. But the panic, chaos, just War of the Worlds. You look at War of the Worlds. People thought that was real. People panicked. People freaked the fuck out. Get out. You look at what's going on in society right now. The media is able to tell you that a person is racist. That a person does all these bad things. When it's provably false. But they can make people believe it. And that causes a panic. like we're seeing now. To the point where it ended up in the murder of a public figure in a public setting and for the whole world to see. And it's causing a backlash. It's causing a huge backlash. Now, obviously, I'm sure everybody's seen this by now. The people leaving the Democrat Party over this. And just the general anger behind what they'd seen. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think that's the correct course of action here. All the cancellations, all this shit. I don't think that's correct course of action here. Me personally, I don't. What I think needs to happen is the Democrat Party needs to change. That change doesn't happen by abandoning it. Now, anybody that's listening to me knows I'm neither a Democrat nor a Republican. I lean more towards the liberal side, obviously, but I wouldn't call myself a conservative by any means. And the people on the extreme left would label me as exactly that because of how far that pendulum swung. A lot of people say things like, I didn't leave the Democrat Party, they left me. And I definitely feel that way. I felt that way for a long time. But how do we fix that, right? What would be the appropriate reaction to what we have now? A one-party system is not going to help anything. It's not a positive direction for this country, even though that one party seems to be more in line with the morality of this country at this time. But it wasn't always that way. Everybody likes to forget what happened in Iraq, the war on terror, all of that stuff. Where the same media outlets that are now able to tell the truth and fight the liberal media that is telling you the lies were the ones that were in fact telling you the lies. And it was the liberal media that was telling you the truth. That pendulum swings. And it keeps swinging back and forth. The problem is, and I've said this since 2020, the further you pull that pendulum, the worse it's going to swing back. And I think they've pulled it about as far as it's going to go. I mean, when resulting to murder and then cheering that murder on, and it's not just that, it's multiple things. The guy that shot the dude in cold blood in New York City made a freaking hero out of that guy. But he murdered somebody. But this is a little different. Charlie Kirk was not somebody I watched on the regular. Things would show up. I recommended. And I would watch him own some kids that thought they were smarter than he was. You can't go into a debate like that. And half these kids are so stupid they don't realize that, you can't go and debate, argue with a political, professional debater in that nature. You're just going to lose. You may as well go into that kind of debate with tape over your mouth because you're just not going to win. But I don't see a solution to this. It's political, right? It's political. I don't see a solution to this. Everybody leave the Democrat Party. I don't see the cancellations as being a huge solution, although I will agree that I don't want somebody who advocates for murder teaching kids. I don't want someone who advocates for murder working in a hospital, saving lives, but at the same time screaming at the top of their lungs. Somebody deserves what's theirs because of lies, manipulation. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I'll never agree with that. But I think what needs to happen is people need to take back their Democrat Party. Because I don't see the structure of this country allowing another party to take control. We all saw what happened. Things like the Tea Party, obviously this turning point to the same. Things like that just generally don't last. They're crushed by the same system that's running the country. So you get Democrats and Republicans. But I think what needs to happen is the Democrat Party needs to get back to where it needs to be. It wasn't always like this. This is bullshit. Communism, at last I checked, is still illegal in the United States. But people are accepting, this nonsense. It's not a sensible idea that somehow we will be the country that makes it work. Now, that's not a thing. It's foolish. It's a fool's errand, and I don't understand where it's coming from, where the sentiment's coming from, where the higher power is coming from that is pushing that narrative and allowing that narrative to be pushed out there. But back to Vegas. What's anything that's got to do with Vegas? What if the truth behind Vegas could have caused a stir, negative or positive, that was just as heavy, or even not to this degree? But cause a conclusion similar to what we're seeing now, a backlash or an upswell of some form of resentment. I can think of all kinds of scenarios that would create that kind of problem to the government, to the powers of be, because that's what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about the FBI not giving us a motive or conclusion. I don't agree. I don't believe. I don't think I'll ever believe that the FBI, in all of their investigating, had only come up with that 3-page document. He was stressed out for money. I mean, I do believe the lone shooter nonsense. Yeah, I believe it probably happened. But why is that? Why did the lone shooter happen? I believe there's a motive. There has to be a motive. People don't do things for no fucking reason. So there has to be a motive. Is that motive just an old man stressed the fuck out? I mean, it wouldn't be the strangest thing to happen, but I don't believe it. This seems like too drastic an drastic of an action for that simple of an explanation. But what if the truth was something they don't want you to know? Obviously, I think a lot of people feel that way anyway. But what if there's good reason behind that? What if there's something so infuriating behind the scenes that would cause mass resentment within society over the worst mass shooting in modern history? I mean, you look at something like what's happening now. Charlie Kirk, right? Some people see the aftermath as, I think most people, I would definitely say most people see the aftermath as positive. Not a positive as far as what happened. Obviously, most people are going to think murder is wrong. But a positive as far as the awakening of spirituality and political discourse with his name and what he stood for, his morality. Because his morality was generally not bad. But some people are going to see it as negative, and some people do see it as negative, which is why you see all the cheerleading for, what had actually happened. And people talking trash about the guy, post-mortem. Somebody argued with me about this, or argued about this in Discord a little bit. And the argument was valid, for sure. And what it said was, this would not cause the kind of stir. Vegas would not cause kind of stir that this Charlie Kirk stuff is, that his death caused. And you're right. You're absolutely right. I agree with that. It's a different situation, different scenario. But the question still stands, like, what if there's something out there, something that caused this dark event that the government feels but the people can't know. The people can't handle it. I mean, the events are definitely not simple. And I will say this, I don't want to make this too long, but I'm going to talk for another probably 5 minutes, but I will say this. When I saw that video of, the man getting his neck, disintegrated, I felt some kind of way. I didn't know how I felt. I'm not a fan. I wasn't a fan. Still not a fan, but necessarily, and I'm not necessarily on his side, but you felt a certain kind of way. Processing what those feelings were was kind of difficult, right? Because how can I be sad for a person I don't know, for a complete stranger? somebody I didn't really know all that much about other than he was a good debater. He was very good at debate. But there's a lot of that going on online. There's a ton of those people out there online. And it's entertaining from time to time. So I don't think it was sadness. It was, and that's not to take away from it. It's a sad event. Anytime someone gets killed, murdered, anytime someone loses a life, it's a sad event. You know, and you know, you can play that out in a million different ways. You know, a million different scenarios. You know, poor girl on the train tracks. Hey, even George Floyd. It was not a good thing that he died. The people in Gaza, people in Israel, people in Ukraine, the Russian soldiers. And I don't talk about leaders when I talk about, you know, wars going on, people dying, stuff like that. The leaders are the ones that are suffering through that. But so you can be, you know, one side or the other. People are forced to fight and lose their lives doing that. They're the victims. But the death, yeah, it is definitely a tragedy. All death is a tragedy. It's a natural cycle of life, unfortunately, but it's tragedy nonetheless. So, not necessarily sadness for the situation at hand. There's sadness for what has happened to America, to the people of America. Something so senseless, created artificially by the media, by social media. Yeah, I guess I felt a little bit of that. I felt anger. Yeah, I think that's one I went through. I mean, it's America, right? Things like this don't happen here. We don't have gangs that run around and publicly execute people, hang them on bridges. We're not Mexico. We don't do things like that. We are a civilized society, or at least we used to be. So sadness, anger, yeah, I guess they both play into this. But sadness and anger that are based on what's happened, what this has done to people. My God. I mean, it's really hard to feel sorry for people that condone this kind of nonsense, that are involved in this kind of nonsense, that lie, that cheat, that, you know. But I feel sorry for them. It is sad that you're going through this. It's sad that you're living your life off of lies and misinformation. It's terrible. It's a terrible way to feel. One thing that's always angered me more than anything else is lies. It's not just about someone lying to you. It's about someone trying to fool you into believing whatever that lie is. And it's a very frustrating thing. And I understand sometimes lies are necessary. But in this case, look where it led. It's not good. But Vegas. I'm willing to believe that there is a motive out there. And I'm also willing to believe that it is very well possible that motive is so dirty, so nasty, that they don't want you to know what it is. Somebody with power doesn't want you to know what it is. I can get beyond that. That can make a lot of things make a lot of sense within this. And I don't know what it is. I don't want to speculate. I don't really do speculation. I never have. I don't like putting the cart before the horse. But that's what I had to say. It's the thoughts that I had. And I sit here and I wonder, it's better just leave it alone. Let sleeping dogs lie, as it were. Because if this is the case, and if it's accurate, the truth's going to be buried so damn far. Good luck finding it. I mean, we can't even get the Epstein list. We can't even figure out how many years later, 60 something, who killed JFK. Every time they release something, it just doesn't mean anything. Our country's got good, I think, at burying the truth. And again, maybe it's for a positive thing as we're seeing now. I never thought the death of one man. I mean, let's be honest, the death of one man could be this impactful to so many people. Now, George Floyd was similar in a lot of respects. It was similar, but that fervor died out very quickly. It ran its course, and after a couple of years, it was done. We'll see how this plays out, because I really don't know. Yeah, no idea. But what if Vegas? What if the truth behind Vegas had the potential to rival both of these events? And that's why the truth came around. It would make a lot of sense. It'd make a lot of sense to me. It also would. But that, I think I should say.
Dude, pointed stick.
Pointed stick. Pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick?
Pointed stick.
Whoa, pointed stick.
That pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Stick. We don't have any time for your trolling behavior on this channel. It just isn't welcome here. And so, good riddance to you.